Greetings and welcome. Like my little My Generation nod there to old Drunken Discography. We're all friends and fans come together, BS, argue, occasionally agree, mostly disagree, and discuss a musical artist. Today's musical artist is The Who, and we are covering Quadrophenia, along with a small conversation about Odds and Sods, because, that's an important record. So, with me, Mr. Tim.
Hola.
And our returning special guest who helped us out in a pinch. We want to give a big shout out to the Heimsta.
Yeah.
Who has all
the nose.
He has all the charm and character and fits right in on our show. So, Quadrophenia.
Well, Pete's just coming out with ideas after ideas after ideas. And so we're back to the rock opera. This one based more on the band and their early experiences with the mod scene in the 60s. The protagonist here, Jimmy, is not schizophrenic. He's quadrophrenic. Each of the four personalities he has is embodied by each of the four members of The Who. They each get their own little theme song. And, it's another rock album that just rocks. Like, right off the bat, I Am the Sea kind of gives you some of the musical motifs that you're going to hear throughout. And then they hit you with the real me. You think you play bass? Check out the real me. And then it just goes from there. It gives this story of Jimmy struggling through adolescence. And there's also like a weird subplot where we're also dealing with Pete like entering middle age and confused about his role in rock and roll and what it means to him and what the past means to him. And so there's a bit of a nostalgic look back sprinkled throughout here as well. It's a big story. They made a movie out of it. It's not as big as Lifehouse. This one was, presented as it should have been. Lot of great songs, though. 515 is the hit. And Love Reign Over Me is also played on the radio a lot.
Jesus.
Yeah. But man, there's some really great songs on here. The Punk and the Godfather is amazing. Drowned is a song that here it's really good. If you go find an acoustic version of Pete doing it by himself, it's going to blow your mind. The way he presents that is just incredible.
The Amnesty International concert, the benefit concert that he did together with the members of Monty Python, he does an acoustic Drown and Won't Get Fooled Again and Pinball Wizard, and he does it as a duet with the classical guitarist John Williams, and it's phenomenal. His hand is a blur at one point, at several points. It's certainly worth a listen. When I was coming of age, my brother put me down in front of a boombox and said, "Listen to this. You have to." It basically indoctrinated me at that moment to Quadrophenia via those live performances, and then Quadrophenia became the album that got me through my teenagehood. It is it
is a very teenage album, but it's also kind of it's good for in your 30s album. I feel.
Well, that is not to say that it isn't great listening, regardless of what phase your life is in.
Right.
But for me in particular, It was it it gave me the sense that somebody understood me. You know.
Okay.
My notes for just cutting my hair is top song. The struggle of growing up and selling out is tossed around here perfectly. I could see hearing this album for the first time between the ages of 14 and 20, and it changing a few lives. Like,
For sure.
you get that sense of like a Green Day's American Idiot. It's a generational defining album, I guess.
Sure.
And it may be in Quadrophenia that you catch this for the first time. Maybe I'm not thinking back far enough, where you hear Moon screaming during his fills. It's real, and it's quite audible. During I'm trying to think of in the last few bars of "Cut My Hair," he just goes ah! You can just hear it. I mean, you hear it in his live performances too, but he's doing it in the studio at this point too, and it adds just another layer of just absolute madness to it.
This is a I don't know, Tim. You kind of said everything there is to say. Like it's a.
Sorry.
I'll say this. I'll say this. If you're watching this video, if you come from us from you're a younger generation, you watched our Green Day video. If you have not heard Quadrophenia, I would say go listen to it.
Right. Yeah. If you've heard American Idiot, but you haven't heard Quadrophenia and Tommy.
Before there was a Saint Jimmy, there was a Quadrophenia Jimmy.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying it's better than American Idiot. I don't, but that's.
It's also it's a celebration of the working man too.
You're also gonna get the first time we're actually self-referencing here. There are hints of the kids are all right, and my generation kind of sprinkled throughout.
My generation is one of the refrains in.
The Punk and the Godfather.
Meets the Godfather. My janitor.
Sure. And he even says, I'm the punk with the stutter.
Right.
And that also points out, like, what year was this? 73? We're still 3 years away from the Ramones. And he's already like, I'm the punk with the stutter. Like, he's calling it out before it even exists. Just gonna throw that out there.
Is the word punk already part of the vernacular culturally here in 76?
It's not a musical genre. I think at this point it's still like derogatory.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is it's more like you punk, like a derogative type thing.
Yeah, but here he is owning it.
Yeah, he's owning it. Yeah, I'm a punk. So what?
Yeah, but yeah, we're still 3 years away from punk being a thing.
Honestly, that could be the antithesis of like how the genre of punk got its name. Honestly,
I could totally see all those people listening to this album at the time.
There's. I'm trying to think. Is it Helpless Dancer or is it Dirty Jobs? Oh, Helpless Dancer is really bold. I mean, musically, it is. It is operatic in the sense that it has that rhythmic thing happening. You can picture the lead of the play standing on a blackened stage with a spotlight on him, glowing. When a man is running from his boss who holds a gun that fires cops, and people die from being old because they're left alone because they're cold, and bombs are dropped on fighting cats, and children's dreams are run with rats. If you complain, you disappear, just like the lesbians and queers. He was talking about a lot of like pretty edgy subject matter here.
Yeah, for
in addition to
1973.
just this middle finger to mechanization. You run from computers and receipts. It's a middle finger to capitalism, to the system.
You also get a rare Keith Moon lead vocal on Bellboy.
Oh yeah.
He's having the most fun with it he can, and it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, it fits. It's totally Keith.
Right.
515 is great. That's a
515 is a classic.
Yeah.
Great horns, right? A wonderful depiction of a drug trip gone awry too. Uppers and downers. Either way, blood flows. I can't shake the image of the scene from the film Quadrophenia, where Jimmy settles down in between two businessmen in his carriage, and he's sitting there, eyes bugging out, with black eyeliner, and the lyric is, inside, outside, leave me alone, nowhere is home, and these two very prim businessmen with their mustachioed guys reading the paper, looking, sort of in this denigrating scowl down at Jimmy.
Which I think every, kid going through whatever they're going through has felt that.
Yes.
At some point in their lives.
It's highly relatable if you're a teenager.
That's what I was talking about. This is the material of late adolescent angst.
It's teen angst. It's a loss of. You're less hopeful for the future.
It's loss of childhood.
Yeah.
It's you're beginning to realize what your body can do and what your body can do within this very, very nasty world. This dirty world.
What I love about the record, the sea is like a super important theme throughout the record. Right.
The sea is the womb.
Yeah.
And he comes back to it. It's a cleansing motif. The idea that you can drown and be reborn by drowning, and that when you sit on the beach, you are at this borderline. Is that the word I'm looking for? between the world of the living and the world of the not yet living. Only love can make it rain the way the beach is kissed by the sea. So it's this liminal space of land and sea, and it's beautiful. First of all, the lyrics are absolutely, you can't find better love song lyrics if you tried, and yet it's also transcendent, beautiful in its imagery, and in its frustration as well. That when you come back to that chorus, "Love rain o'er me," the anger, the reach, but not quite getting there.
And this was before, Pete didn't just Google beach sounds, free copyright use.
That's right.
To sample and love. He actually walked down the beach and recorded that sound that you hear throughout, and it's just.
And he thanks that's part of the liner notes of the album. He thanks thunder and the sea and the crashing sea and all that stuff.
And I mean, "Love Rain Over Me." Yeah, it's a single, but holy crap! What a good
one of
song.
Roger's best performances.
It's just
nails it.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite closing track by The Who.
You have to feel in order to be able to sing like that. We don't talk about Rog nearly enough in the course of all of our conversations here. I know that most of my stuff is pretty focused and centered on Townsend, but Roger Daltrey is is a force of nature, and there are few, if any, other voices in rock which bring to life the intent of the songwriter with it not being the songwriter himself. So the tension comes out with Roger Daltrey, who is this working guy. He's a tough guy, a short, tough guy, singing the lyrics of this artsy fartsy guy. And there is, it's what I call the Cain and Abel dynamic, where one guy wants to kill the other guy, and yet they're making beautiful music together, sort of like Lennon and McCartney in their best moments, where you know that there is this cultural tension that exists between the two characters, and yet the sounds that they make are just more transcendent than the sum of its parts. It's a pretty special thing.
I love the album cover too. That sums up everything. I mean, the mirrors with the band's faces, like it's
super mod.
I'm kind of glad last week I'll get into that when we start ranking. Never mind.
The liner notes with the full black and white booklet that comes with Quadrophenia is also just a masterful piece of rock and roll art.
Yeah, there was I don't know if it was a documentary or an interview or something I saw where the photographer was talking about like how they filmed or they took the pictures of the story, and it was all, again, this is a concept. It's a total package. Like,
that's right.
It's the same as the Sellout or Tommy. It is a full package of a record.
And there is a super deluxe edition out there. They've got like demos that have been released. I've got a couple 10 inches here, and they're great live stuff during this time too. Yeah, they're still at the top of their game.
Well, their attempts to play it live failed because they were experimenting with backing tapes on stage, and they couldn't get it right. And Townsend ended up doing some sort of wrecking thing on stage, and they ended up trashing the tapes and playing fewer of the songs that they really wanted to, and it ended up being sort of a Who nostalgia tour where they played a lot of older material on stage. They didn't fully realize Quadrophenia until 96, when they really were able, when they had the technology to put it together on stage. And they had a
lot of guest stars at that show too.
They had a lot of guest stars, but they toured it as well. We saw it a couple of times here in the States, and it was absolutely magnificent. Just great sound. They were so passionately into it, and it was so wonderful to hear the music finally being performed on stage with all of that energy and all of that musicality.
It is a phenomenal
they're still at the top
record.
of their game. It's another classic.
Yeah,
another one in the row.
There's actually a documentary film about both the album and the movie, which came out before their most recent tour of Quadrophenia. I'm thinking it was like 2010, 2011, something like that. If you can find it, it's worth a watch, because he brings together some of the personalities who were big, who followed the Who around at the time of their mod days, this is a reflection of their mod days. So there's this personality, Irish Jack, who was a big Who fan, and they interview him, and they interview Pete as well, and they take you back to some of the places where the film was shot. It's a very nice documentary.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm still scratching the surface of this record. This was my Who ended at Who's Next. Anything after Who's Next is new to me, as far as like the whole album goes. So I'm still
Quad deserves a good pair of Koss headphones turned up.
Yeah, this
You know?
is a I watched the movie. I mean, it was good. It was a good movie. It just didn't follow it 100%, but that's okay.
Well, and much like the album, multiple viewings and or listenings help improve the experience.
That's true too. Yeah.
Agreed.
The actor.
There's a lot here to unpack.
Yeah, Phil Daniels does a great job as Jimmy. He embodies the character beautifully, and a nice cameo by Sting.
Oh, I want that. I want that as a GIF whenever he's fighting the police. I want to make that as a GIF.
Or the courtroom scene is great too,
Yeah.
where the judge is castigating him and so forth, and he's looking at his watch. He's standing there, and then he gives him his fine. You've been fined £75, and Sting, the ace face, he says, "You mind if I pay that now?" And the entire courtroom erupts in laughter, and he says, "Have you got a pen, Your Honor?" He's going to write a check on the spot for it.
Yeah. Turns out he's just a bellboy.
That's why he's looking at his watch. He's late for work. It's not just a fuck you to the judge. I'm sick of listening to you. It's I gotta get going now. Keep my head buttoned down. Carry the bloody baggage out.
That's what makes. I mean, for people who haven't heard Quadrophenia, that's my favorite sequence in the story is from the bellboy to the sea part, like what Jimmy goes through, and it's a genius record, like concept wise. If you haven't heard it, holy crap!
Yeah, it's a build up. It's an orgasmic build up.
So before we rank it, let's very quickly talk about Odds and Sods. Again, this is one that, like, growing up, I didn't know this wasn't a record. There's no repeats on here, is there? No, I mean, it just feels like a record.
So yeah, put the money down. Too much of anything, pure and easy. Faith in something bigger, and possibly Naked Eye were all considered for Who's Next. Postcard was kind of the single off of this thing. That's a lovely Entwistle song about their travels, including their experience of getting banned from Australia.
Right, that's right.
Now I'm a Farmer is such a goofy song that will just get stuck in your head.
Now I'm a Farmer was Pete was writing for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It was meant to be a commercial.
Okay.
And he flew out to New York to present it to their public affairs person, and it was rejected. For whatever reason.
Well, there's a very strong drug undercurrent to that song.
Which part?
Oh, God.
There's a big Mayor Baba undercurrent. He gets into this philosophical riff. He says, when I'm looking at it, I can't think of it. So,
yeah, I'm going to pull the lyrics up real quick here.
I do love that song. I mean, I remember, we had the vinyl. We just played Postcard, Farmer, Little Billy, Glow Girl. All good.
Yeah,
shit.
I mean, and I'll dig and plow and scrape the weeds till I succeed in seeing cabbage growing through. Now I'm a farmer and I'm digging. It's alarming how charming it is to be a farming, how calming and balming the effect of the air.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's a drug thing going on there.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
Now look here, son. This is the Mayor Baba stuff. The right thing to say isn't necessarily what you want to say. The right thing to do isn't necessarily what you want to do. The right things to grow ain't what you necessarily want to grow. Your own happiness doesn't necessarily teach you what you want to know. That's a great line. That's a great line. If in fact, if there's an anti-drug message in it, that's it. Your own happiness doesn't necessarily teach you what you want to know.
The first time I heard this album, I bought it on CD, and so there were some bonus tracks that aren't on the original album.
Yes.
Again, a lot of top song contenders. One of my favorites is called "We Close Tonight."
Oh, right.
It's
from that's a Quadrophenia outtake.
Great song, hilarious. A great collection of songs here. "Long Live Rock" is top song contender.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
Was Little Billy, was that a John song or was that a...
That's a Pete song, but it's also a Tommy outtake. It is a Pete song.
It's a pre-Tommy song. It was written right around the same time. You can hear the open sustained chords are the first chords of Overture. But it stands on its own. There's a great live version of it at the Fillmore East. If you can find it in bootleg, it's outstanding. Very, very clear. Great recording. Too Much of Anything is a Lifehouse outtake.
Mm-hmm.
Pure and Easy. Yeah.
I have no idea what my notes mean. It says, was this a John song? I love Little Billy. The vocals on the ha ha ha. The lyrics, it's so good. It's like a twisted long-term ha-ha got you.
Most of them smoking in maybe 40 a day. I'm happy Billy doesn't share. One by one they're passing away, leaving all the kids to Billy's care. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha.
That's like I've waited 30 years. It's like,
It's a great song.
And then it's also, I also want to point out that "I'm the Face" is actually their first single when they were still the High Numbers.
That's right. That's produced by Shel Talmy. That version of "I'm the Face," you don't get the same version of it on the re-release deluxe version of My Generation. Slightly different.
And the B-side was "Zoot Suit," which you can find in the 30 Years of Maximum R&B box set. But yeah, that's those two songs actually predate The Who.
So
that's kind of fun.
Snappiest number in town, and I'll tell you why. I'm the snappiest dresser right down to my inch-wide tie. But to get you right, I'll explain to you. You are the things that a face is supposed to do.
So, man, if we don't get a copyright strike from those sweet pipe tunes there, we're doing something wrong. So you're saying Zoot Suit Riot's not a cover of The Who?
No, it's not.
Zoot Suit Riots are from the 20s, right?
No, there was a dumb one-hit wonder single from the 90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Swing came back for a year. Like Zoot Suit Riot, throw back a bottle.
Was it the Cherry Poppin' Daddies or Squirrel Nut Zippers or?
God, what an awful time in music.
I love Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Yeah, Odds and Sods is another collection of random B-sides that you're not going to get disappointed with.
Yeah, it flows beautifully as an album. It's a great listen. That's been on my regular playlist forever.
That is a good one, which is why we talked about it. We don't leave anything alone here on ODD. We don't forget anything. All right, so Quadrophenia. Where would you rank it against these 5 records? This is where, when we recorded last week, we had some technical issues, I'll say.
Yeah.
But we didn't make it to Quadrophenia, so now it's a new week. if we would have made it to Quadrophenia, it would have a different place. I've spent another week with it, so it kind of changed my perception on it. It's better than my generation. It's better than a quick one. I was going to have it at number 4, but after watching the movie, revisiting the record a few times, it's going to move to number 3. I still prefer these two, but again, I'm just now, I've got, this isn't a record you can hear in a day or a week to fully grasp. There's a lot going on with Quadrophenia. I could see it moving.
For sure.
I could see it changing easily.
I've been listening to it for 38 years.
So it's your number 1?
Yeah.
Really?
It is. For sure. For sure.
We do not know each other's picks, by the way, just for those tuning in. We like to keep it a mystery here.
Roger Daltrey said about they were starting to get really frustrated with Townsend in the studio because his perfectionism sort of reached its apex during Quadrophenia. He did a lot of the production himself, and as he subsequently said later on, I screwed up a lot of it. But he was quite mad and driving the band to do take after take after take.
And you can hear that on the record. You can hear the level of perfectionism.
Absolutely.
And this is a total passion project.
That's right.
He was all in on this one.
Even down to the drums too. It was very directed. Tun trum trum pum pum. Tun tun trum pum pum.
Rained in.
This one's a little less than Who's Next because there's less orchestration and the synthesizers. But yeah, I can hear it. It's like Keith's using a hi-hat now. He never used a hi-hat before Who's Next. And that reins him in. He's now he's like, oh shit, now I actually got to keep time. I can't just be, the best Keith Moon style drummer in the world. The little things that, being a drummer, I'm going to notice. But yeah,
okay. I'll defer to you on that.
Yeah, you go back and you listen to the first couple albums. There's zero hi-hat. It's all crash cymbal all the time.
Listen for his screams in the background. I can't emphasize it enough because it adds this whole extra layer of sort of this unhinged danger to the whole sound.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's like completely caged up or anything. No. Don't get me wrong. You can't contain Keith Moon. No. But they're trying. I'm going to place it at number 4.
4.
I go back and forth between this and Tommy as to which one's better. Which one do I enjoy more? I think they're both masterpieces. I think I tend to gravitate towards Tommy more, though.
Interesting.
And so my list here is going to be at number 4.
I like the concept of Quadrophenia more, the storyline. But I do think the music on Tommy is just as strong, if not stronger. It is a toss-up. It could change any day.
Yeah, and it does often. So, but more often than not, I tend to choose Tommy over Quadrophenia.
That makes sense. All right, well, we're starting. The next one's going to be really interesting. For me, at least.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, the Who by Numbers, right? Yeah,
that's what's next.
So stick around. Give us a like, subscribe. If you've missed the past videos, there's a playlist link down below, or at the end of this video, there'll be a playlist link. Click that, watch them all, grab a drink, don't be a fucking rocker, and subscribe. Much appreciated. Love you guys. Be safe. Make good decisions.
Oh boy, I gotta get running now. Oh boy, keep my lip button down.